We'll talk about that little event you run down there in Florida in a second. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just all over the place, man. Planning all these events is harder than I thought.
Yeah, you got your hands full. So Capcom Pro Tour, the full reveal was earlier today. I guess sort of
Yep.
full. It's mostly uh, they gave a list of most of the events, I think, but there's a few I think to be added, including CEO returns as a premiere event, of course.
Yep.
Yeah, and of course,
Hey, it's news to me. I just found out today for sure.
and of course, Dreamhack. Actually,
Yeah,
I don't know if people realize this. You're directly involved with Dreamhack Austin, which was revealed as
correct.
a premiere event recently. But I
Yep.
think you're also sort of in charge-ish of Dreamhacks Montreal and what do they call it? Summer, right? Dreamhack Summer, or is it Sweden?
Dreamhack Summer, which takes
Yeah,
place in Sweden, basically their
right.
homeland event.
So you got your hands involved in all these CPT premiere events. Like, talk to me about how the challenges of arranging and organizing all of these premiere events.
It's actually pretty awesome, right? So, I work with all the same before I even came on, so this had nothing to do with me coming on to Dreamhack, that it being a premier event. They just Dreamhack and Capcom have a great relationship with each other,
Yeah,
especially over in Sweden. They've done it over there every year. Last year, Street Fighter V was at Dreamhack, but it was run by Dreamhack specifically,
right.
and we brought in like Chris Seg for the production. It was a great little event. I think we had over like 350 players, and the Texas Showdown guys actually ran it. So, but the fact that it's a premier event this year is really exciting because now I am directly involved, and I am pretty much most likely going to bring back the same teams that ran everything last year just to make sure it's smooth. And then obviously on the Smash side, we'll be running, bringing back the TOs from last year. So I want to work with DreamHack and let them know that we should definitely hire the people that the community trusts. And I'll be overseeing that. So anywhere I'm needed during the event, brackets, all that stuff, I'm working on the layouts and all that. So it's pretty exciting, but it's pretty much the things I do for CEO, but now I'm doing it more for another company. And I've actually really appreciative of everything I've done at DreamHack already because I am learning how a real major like esports event delegates and spreads out everything and just being able to see how they organize all their meetings and all. It's really helpful to me because
Right.
CEO has always been just a few handful of guys doing stuff planning up until the event, and then without the volunteers and the staff during it, we'd never make it through. But now seeing the real planning side and not just keeping everything in my head, it's been really helpful. So it's exciting. We'll make sure it's run perfectly fine. Premier event is really exciting for that area to have one. And yeah, it's been fun so far. So, and we'll see how many now that with the Pro Tour having no longer having auto qualifiers. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, but the point differentiation between Premier and ranking is big enough to where you're still going to
Right.
need to go to these Premier events more than ever. So we'll see how that turns out. But I really hope that it has a great turnout for the Premier event there. And then obviously there are two other U.S. events, but Capcom wants to spread it out as much as possible. So it's probably a good thing that not every single DreamHack event was a ranking or premier event to take away from other community events. We're just helping add to it.
The obviously everyone turns out for CEO. They have for a few years now. Great event with DreamHack and actually other events like Combo Breaker. Combo Breaker's a premier event now.
Right.
And maybe we'll touch on that in just a second. But I know you work closely with Rick. But with these new events that are now premier events, what do you sort of expect? Or can you even, I guess, talk a little bit about what you expect from these events, like how they'll change as far as turnout and the visibility of these events that are now premier events, new events, or recent events that have
Right.
been promoted to premier events.
Yeah, I mean, so with DreamHack, it's not just about fighting games. We're just a small portion on the grander scale of that, where they have stuff from like Hearthstone to CS:GO, and there'll be a lot more eyes now that we have, this premier event, and people that don't really follow the FGC, they might go, "Oh, a premier event. This is a big deal for a bigger scale event. Let's
Yeah,
check it out." So I think that opens up the doors. That's really helpful with the DreamHack having that as a premier event. But nothing's really going to change in terms of formula of how to run the event. We'll see how the turnout does. Last year's final round hit over 1,000. Right now, registration closes today. We'll see how the final numbers go. I think that's indicative of how the rest of the year could go. So hopefully things, keep going with Evo at 5,000 last year, right? Who
right.
knows if it could double, but we'll see how it goes. I just think it's cool that there are obviously more premier events now to just get more people involved and checking it out. But we won't know until the events happen. But it'll be the same thing, just well-run events across the board for the Capcom Pro Tour. I know they're getting more evolved. They've mentioned stuff like having an extra stage manager to help out the TOs, just to keep an eye on things. And just all these different things. But I know Capcom's, getting more involved. And although I think the announcement came out later than we wanted this year, we're at the end of February now, right? I wish we could have it all by like December and have it decided. But everything's just going to work itself out. I do love the idea of a last chance qualifier at the actual event. So who knows how many people that's going to turn out? That could be huge. And I would like to get involved with that. I've actually chatted with them about, helping out with the brackets and stuff like that. So that's another opportunity for me to do more events, because this is what I love to do and this is what I do, right? And just, across the board, the points, like I said, not having an auto qualifier might change things at a face value, but I think when people read into it and seeing, I think it's like 400 points for first place at a premiere, as opposed to, let's see,
It's
had it among
400
my
for
2000
first
tabs.
place, and then second is 250. So yeah, they've added more points to these events. But even like looking at Evo, I think Evo becomes even more important, because you have arguably probably the top 3-4 players that, for the most part, could be guaranteed a spot at Capcom Cup. Whereas last year we ran into a situation where third place finisher Yukadon barely even made it, because he got in through some shenanigans with the leaderboards and things like that. But overall,
I think this will it'll create for better storylines, right? Because now we know exactly how to follow who wins and how they get in. So the points could be crazy. Could come down to like 2 Latin American events, and guys that have never been down there be like, I got to go down there and play, right? So that's probably going to happen. But overall, I kind of like it. It's different. Capcom's been trying new things each year to see how they can improve on it. They do listen to the community. So obviously just the communication needs to be more open, as much as that we're used to from the community side of the FGC, right? But I think it's great. And like I said, the last chance qualifier is going to be awesome to see who, battles it out through probably 500 to 1,000-man tournament and makes it in. And plus, we don't know anything yet. This is the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter. They did big things for the 25th. Who knows what they have outcoming, and I'm excited. Marvel Infinite comes out the end of the year, so we'll see how that ties into the Capcom Pro Tour next year. So as a TO and a player, I'm excited still.
You talked about it a little bit when you were talking about Dreamhack, and I know it's sort of, for you, it probably carries over with CEO as well, but and I know you hear this discussion a lot, the idea of sort of like when you hold an event like you do, CEO, Dreamhack, whatever, Evo, there's sort of this there's the event for like the spectators, me watching at home, and there's also the side of like the attendee. And I'm actually kind of curious to hear what you think about, as things become more visible. Like, we have Capcom Pro Tour, obviously. The money's bigger this year, $600,000, but also E-League.
What was it last year? It was $250,000, correct?
It was,
well, so was promoted as
600,000, I would assume, is again the baseline figure for all of the Pro Tour. Last year it was 500,000 baseline for the entire Pro Tour. Capcom Cup was 250 baseline plus I think the 100K that got added on. So we'll probably see something similar. But having said that, all that plus things like E-League just got recently announced. We're going to be seeing Street Fighter V more on television, things like that. So now we're talking about spectators at home and attendees, especially in your case, attendees. And I know you and Rick are really high on providing a great event for the attendees. How do you balance that? What are some of the challenges that you see as spectators and attendees become more important? They battle for each other and become more important.
Right. I mean, I think, and it's very clear. I've always said it's a real challenge when you host so many different games. I'm doing 11, I believe. Combo Breakers 16 or 18, and you try to balance the best you can, because at the end of the day, as the TO directly, we want to support everything, but because everything supports us, and it's the attendees that are the ones spending their hard-earned money to travel to these events. You have the hotels, the flights, the food, all that stuff. So my focus has always been about the attendees first and foremost, but the spectacle that I try to do with the ring, the entrances, I know the attendees will appreciate it just as much as the people viewing at home. So it kind of works itself out that way. I think that the best battle is just hiring really good teams now, right? So, for example, Tenno Productions from Chris Seglia, who's worked on Evo, Combo Breaker, CEO, many other non-FGC events like the Wizard World conventions, productions. So by having enough people that care about the product, they can handle that part for you. So as a TO, I can still focus on the attendees first, but I know hiring these trusted people that they'll take care of the other side of it for the spectatorship. I mean,
Right.
the biggest challenge to me is obviously having multiple streams throughout the event, because I want to host it on my channel to build that brand. But with Capcom, supporting the event directly, it'll be on their channel, which it actually does help us more than you guys know behind the scenes, because they offer little things I can probably say, like they help with the production. So
Sure.
as a TO, going from having to fly out these commentators, Capcom's going to take care of it because they want the best quality commentary on their stream. So that's a huge help to us. But I think we've been getting a lot better at balancing too. It's just there's so many great matches that happen at a live event. You're not going to be able to see them at home, all at home, watching from home. While you're at home, you have to go to these
Right.
events to check out what you really care about. So that's why we try to make the experience as best as we can for people at the event. And then if you're at home, we try to show as much as we can with the time allotted that we have. Right.
Right.
It just really is tough to show so much in a single weekend. But now that there's so many events, it's gone from, if you miss this event, there's going to be another great event coming up in the next weekend or even the same weekend. Right. So, it's perspective how you want to view the event. If you want that in-ring experience, so to speak, you have to go to these events. But with Capcom helping out on the production side, that takes the load off the TO. Now I can focus still on what's the most important for my event to succeed is the growth of the live attendance.
Right.
So I have been seeing
Having
just another TO note. Like I've been seeing a trend or a shift when I talk to my partners and sponsors. Like they love the numbers that we're getting on these viewerships, but they
Sure.
really love to be at the event and showing their product firsthand to people. So that's why we try to bring as many people as we can.
Right. And having said that, I'm just kind of wondering with again Capcom Pro Tour, all of these premier events, all of these ranking events. It looks like I know I think maybe it's unfair to say this in the past, but ranking events are not as highly, I guess, touted as premier events. But I think maybe
Right.
this year we kind of see that balance out a little bit more, especially with some events kind of swapping spots. But on top of that, like we mentioned, E League doing national TV. I mean, Street Fighter's been on national TV before, but not really like what E League's doing.
Right.
And so there's more visibility, and there's a chance to get our product in front of more spectators at home, but also attendees. But having said that, I'm actually wondering how you feel about where like FGC, whether it's Street Fighter, Injustice coming, whatever Marvel, where FGC is at, sort of in like the I guess the tier list of esports. Are we there yet? Are we like on that cusp of breaking through? We're not league levels yet, right? We're not
Right.
Dota levels yet, but are we getting there? And how does things like Capcom Pro Tour and CEO and Dreamhack and E League and all these things help us, I guess, break through that glass
Yeah.
ceiling?
I don't think we're there just yet, but I think we are getting we are getting there. Definitely, I think this will be the biggest year. There's a lot of unannounced stuff that I'm privy to that's going to be happening, not just on the Capcom side. So a lot of interest has happened, and it just takes one to lead the group. And with the Capcom Pro Tour, I know that's a lot of other little events have happened. Like the KOF had their little Pro Tour thing they were
Yeah,
doing. It wasn't as grand scale, obviously, because you have to start small, and Capcom started small, right? I always told
yeah,
CEO is one of the first community events that was ever streamed on Capcom Fighters, and that just was a great partnership. And then they started, going out with other events, and then they had their first year. It's so crazy that this all happened in just like the last 2-3 years. But I forget,
mhm,
like there was actually an event with Cross Tekken with the finals with a car going to infiltration. That was just
that's right.
2-3 years ago. So things have been growing really fast as they can in the FGC, and Capcom's led the way. It's just it's going to take more than that, and I think we're honestly getting there. Dreamhack, is a big esports event. My job is to make sure that fighting games are very successful under their banner, to get as many people to come out and open the doors. But they genuinely care about these games. Like whenever I have conversations, for example, I'm hosting BYOC games at Dreamhack, and most
Hmm.
esports events will just host their 3 games and that's it. They're
Right.
all about the bring your own LAN, which is successful, and they'll have over 1,000 computers brought from
Yep.
attendees, and they'll just They'll set up shop, be there the whole weekend, and connect to their LAN. We're doing something similar where we're going to have a BYOC area where you can pay the same price for this ticket. You'll have a table reserved, and then there's your setup to bring and have people play whatever you want. So I've been doing that to get more eyes on it. And we don't have Pokken in an official capacity, but DreamHack wanted to support it, and they're like, yeah, sure. So we're putting up a $2,000 bonus. So just a lot of other companies are starting to step in now. You're going to see more of that throughout this year, and that'll lead the way. But the E-League obviously will be a big deal. It's just how do you convert these viewers into players that are going to keep this game going or interested. And Capcom started that with purchasing the stages, and we're starting getting to use that form of DLC within fighting games. I think we're almost there. It's just there's so many people that are around this one small piece of pie that it's going to just come down to whoever does it the best, does it right. And then Capcom will be there to, guide us along the way and teach each other. But every year I keep saying like that November, December will hit where it's the holidays with the family, and I'm not thinking too much about the next year. I'm like, man, how do you top this year in the FGC, right? With the Capcom Pro Tour and all. And then once January, February hits, you see these announcements like Ultimate Marvel or Marvel Infinite, and stuff. Like, okay, I'm excited again. There's more coming, because when you think about it, like as a TO, you have to wonder what are the next year's games. And one thing I want to try to change with when I announced CO 2018 is like not wait until Evo says what games they want to host in January, right? Or wait, I wish people knew like October, November, right? As soon as the busy season besides Capcom's done. And it's really hard because you don't know what's going to come out, all these updates like Revelator 2. But when you think about Marvel Infinite and Tekken 7 and Justice 2, what else is there? So we don't know now, but who knows, at the end of the year, landscape could change again and more games get announced. So I think we're doing well in terms of the content we have for the players to play and for viewerships to watch, especially with E-League now. We just got to keep the momentum going, and I think we'll be fine in the next 2-3 years.
So speaking of that landscape changing and the momentum, and 2, 3, maybe 5 years down the road, five years from now, where do you see all of these events in 5 years? CEO, DreamHack, what's going on with like spectators and attendees? Are we at major league, NFL, NBA, MLB levels here with esports and fighting games, or what? Where are we in 5 years? Consult your crystal ball.
Yeah, my crystal ball. Who knows? I mean, my goal with CEO, especially in 2018 at this new venue, is just to bring in as many fighting game fans, period. Whether you're a player, you're just a watcher. I mean, look at the content, the stuff you have behind your house. We all collect stuff, man. That's a big industry. I have this huge collection, but I don't know if it's cut off or anything, but and we're not just the only ones. There's people that don't even play these games that will collect all this stuff, right? So that helps make that a mainstream name. And my goal, it's funny, I've kind of lost sight of this objective when I first started CEO. My first objective was make gaming mainstream. And I always said I could do that by doing all the little quirky things I would do with the news, local news on, like, let's make it mainstream. And now it's really becoming that. Like, everybody's talking about what they watch on Twitch that night, stuff like that. So in 5 years, I think CEO is going to be twice the size it is now. That's obviously my goal. And whether or not there's still pro tours and all that, there's still going to be fans that are playing these games no matter what. So the goal is to always keep them happy, satisfied with the content and product you're bringing. In terms of catching up to like sports, like look at, a basketball season, 82 season games, and half of those are in the same city. So that's impossible for us to ever, do. Now I've started back up the monthly series. I'm having Andreas from Miami help out. He'll be in charge of that. And so on a local level, we try to do as many events as we can, but obviously people have so many different interests, it's hard to do that. But like I said, Capcom will lead the way with their Pro Tour. Now there's more, I don't think there's more events. We don't know the final number, but they're still keeping it consistent and supporting as much as they can, which spreads the word out. But now it's up to the TOs like myself and Rick and everybody to keep growing their event, with the community and stuff. So 5 years from now, I think all the great events will still be there. Some people that are honestly taking risks, and I commend them, especially in this landscape where there's already, good 5-6 established yearly events in the FGC space. There's people still trying that are these ranking events, and I really do hope they grow because that helps everybody. I just, financially it's tough, man, to do these events. And the best thing about working DreamHack is really learning the budgeting side. It's like how you make this work on a business model when you have, hundreds of employees and stuff. CEO is always just me and a few others. So I just, and one of the questions people ask me is like, how much does it take to put on a good event? And I just reply, whatever it takes. I don't say a number. I'm just like, whatever it takes, man. If you need to spend something to just make it work, you have to spend it if you want to grow. So yeah, hopefully in 5 years, we're all already bought up by sports teams and we're using their same arenas when they're not using them, and then saving us money on that and building a bigger product. Who knows, man? I can't predict anything.
You have a sales pitch right now. Who do you want to pitch CEO to? Who's going to buy CEO in 5 years?
Oh man, Mark Cuban, because he's a forward thinker. Always a big Dallas fan. But yeah, him honestly, if there's any owner that would want to talk to me, Mark Cuban. I've actually met him many years ago in an Orlando Magic game because I worked at Blockbuster Video at the time when I was like 18 years old, and one of my employees, I was a manager, and one of the employees, he's like, "Man, I love the Mavericks. You want to go to their game?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a Magic fan, or I'll be a Mavericks fan for a night." So we were the only two people in the crowd with our faces painted green. And we were behind like the free throw line, and Mavericks ended up losing. But at the third quarter, Mark Cuban saw us because we were the only idiots in the whole crowd with green face paint. This is right when they started getting to pick up, and Dirk Nowitzki, and he picked us out of the crowd, and we got to sit with the player bench. And ever since then, I was a huge Mark Cuban fan. And then obviously when we lost, we had to walk with our heads in shame, all painted green and stuff. But it was pretty funny. But that would be a great start. People said like, "Hey, would you ever sell CEO?" And I've actually had offers. But I love what I do now. I really do. And if anybody ever took over CEO, it wouldn't be the same. So that's something that's not on my mind in any capacity right now. In a couple years, who knows, right? So, but for the foreseeable future, I like doing events. I like going to other events and helping them out. And just, at some point, who knows, maybe Twitch will buy up all these events for us, and then we'll just all start working for Twitch if they keep growing. Because now they just announced today you can buy games directly through Twitch, which I think is awesome. That'll definitely help the streamers to promote more and sell. So,
yeah, that Amazon money. Jebailey, thanks for hopping on. Looking forward to CEO this year. Of course, Dreamhack, seeing what you do with Dreamhack Austin, and I guess see how your influence plays out with Dreamhack Montreal and Dreamhack Summer, all premier events.
I know. I unfortunately won't be there because that is the same weekend as CEO 2017. And I was actually asked like, how do you feel about it? I'm like, hey, that's across the world. We'll be fine. So who knows? Maybe some American players don't think they can win CEO. They'll fly all the way over to Sweden. So, but yeah, more opportunity. I think end of the day, the more events there are, the more opportunities are for the players. Our goal is TOs. The players are always going to show up. They have more chances to win. Could be exhausting to us because now we have more competition. But focus on your event, your player, the community that comes to that event itself. Make it a great product, and it's only going to get better from there.
All right, man. Thank you for taking some time out, and hopefully we'll get to see you down there at CEO and of course Evo and wherever else I see you this year.
Yep. All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.